Right now, on Campbell's Comments, absolutely wrapped. Amiee Cupitt, firstly, welcome to Campbell's Comments.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of chatter just recently about what Nutrien have been doing. Officially, what is your role at Harness Racing New South Wales, or even do you have a role at Harness Racing New South Wales?
So I'm the Executive Officer of the New South Wales Harness Rehoming Company. So we're supported by Harness Racing New South Wales, but we are technically our own company and our own entity.
So do you have to answer to Harness Racing New South Wales as such, or do you work together with them?
We work together with them. I have a very dedicated board of directors that I directly answer to, but it's a very, very collaborative effort.
Absolutely.
So we're constantly talking across agencies and things like that. It's very, very collaborative.
Before we go too far into this interview, I want everyone to be aware that down the bottom is the email address. If you want to get in touch with Amiee as such, it's not Amy's email by name, but that'll get back to Amiee and the people. They'll get in contact with you there. But I encourage people to go to harnessrehoming.newsouthwales.com on the internet search once we've finished this interview, and we'll put all your socials up as well. But there is a full layout, and you've even got your board of directors and everyone who is on there, and a little bio on who they are. So I think it's cool. It's got contact details and the like, so they can just pretty much follow those prompts and be able to rehome a horse if you like going forward.
That's it, just follow the bouncing ball. We're currently in the process of updating our website with horses that we've already rehomed. So there's a little gallery of horses that have gone to their new homes, and also we're updating as often as we can the horses that we've got available for adoption as well.
Yep. Very, very good. I am actually an ambassador for the Hero program here in Victoria, which works together. I think the Hero program works in New Zealand as well. There's a few, but basically all striving for the one thing, is to help find these beautiful animals a home after racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hero down in Victoria have been extremely supportive in the lead up to our company's launch, and also, you know, even just day to day, I'm in contact with quite a few people that are involved with the operations down there, and they've been nothing but supportive, nothing but helpful. Absolutely great bunch of people.
How do you find the field? Like, because it's one of those ones, if you talk to old existing horse people, you know, they feel it's a waste of money, but the new generation coming through understand exactly what it's about and what it's targeted around. Is it a hard sell in New South Wales as well?
It hasn't been. I mean, it was a little bit tricky when I first started, and because I didn't come from a harness racing background, I've got an equestrian background, but not necessarily harness racing. So it's been about kind of getting out there and meeting people and introducing myself, and not just, you know, straight away kind of ramming the program down their throat. So there's a little bit of PR and a little bit of, you know, meeting and greeting, and generally, well, I say generally, but a majority of people have just jumped straight on board. They're thrilled with what we're doing. It's I don't think there's been any particular demographic that we've had any resistance from. Ultimately, these people love their horses and they want to do the right thing by them. So we're just happy, and we're there to facilitate that.
Yeah, and it's a necessity too for our industry, because we cannot keep having wastage and just think that everyone's going to turn a blind eye to these sort of things. We have to be on the forefront. We have to be on the front foot and go forward. I'm associated with Nutrien. I've got badging all over me. There's no worries there. I proudly wear their logo. I'm not sure if they came to you. You came to them. I don't know exactly how it came about, but this is just something enormous that I think anyway, and it's one of the things I want to get into a little bit more about what you guys are doing, but I definitely want to make sure that people are aware about this. I'm not sure exactly which one it is. It's this one here. Very good. The Rehoming the Standardbred at the 2022 Classic Camp Draft and Sale. This is really exciting stuff, isn't it?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. So Nutrien expressed an interest in wanting to support us and wanting to get involved with our company. So we touched base with them a couple of months ago, just literally sending them letters, a couple of phone calls, and introducing me personally, because I think everything just runs a lot smoother when you know who you're talking to. But they have just been so incredibly supportive of this initiative. And then they brought to us this idea for the camp draft, which we unanimously were like, yes, we've got to do this. This is so exciting. So it really works for us, and we're really grateful to have this opportunity to showcase these horses inner life after racing and just show people what they can do. Because I think with the Standardbred, you know, they've got a bit of a stigma about them. You know, they think, oh, they can just pull a cart, oh, they're just trail riding horses, you know, blah, blah, blah. But they can do anything. Sure, they may not make it to Olympic Grand Prix level like we've all just watched in Tokyo, but they've got so much value. They've got fantastic temperaments. They're so amicable. They're trainable. They're tough. And this Camp Draft Challenge, I think, is an absolutely beautiful first step and an absolutely brilliant way to showcase what these horses are capable of doing.
It's exciting as well because it's something new. So it's really good that you guys are at it. Like, instead of just sort of following the old tried and true path, this is something really new, something very different that we don't see a lot of. You know, the Standardbreds out there competing in this field for a start. So that part for mine is exciting. Then the trainers, the people that are actually training them, they're not hobbyists or anything. These are guys. These are full-time guys that are making a living. Real deal. Yeah, so it's serious competition. Yeah,
oh, absolutely. I don't think I'm allowed to say any of the names.
No, you're not.
They're doing like a graduate. Yep, I've got to keep my lips sealed, but it's exciting.
Yeah,
it's really, really exciting, and it's exciting for me too. I'm learning a lot about camp drafting because I'm a dressage diva, you know, and so I'm super excited to learn more about another aspect of the performance horse world. You know, I don't know everything. I've never proclaimed to know everything, but once all this COVID stuff is finished and wrapped up, fingers crossed it's sooner rather than later, but I'm going to Tamworth and I'm going to be like, can someone chuck me on a horse? I want to learn how to work a cow. Let's do it.
You're right. I don't know enough about it either. Like, I only learnt just recently that there's two rings. There's an outside ring and then an inner ring and all the rest. Like, I just always assumed that they just had to run them around a barrel and that goes from there, but it starts before that. And I'm going to do quite a few things. I've got quite a few clients here in my horse industry world that are drafters, so I want to do stuff. But especially with Mark Barton, he's going to talk our way through how they do it and what goes into the process. But there is a lot in it. You said there about a dressage diva. I probably thought dressage was watching paint dry until my 15-year-old, but I have now 15-year-old daughter taking it up. And dressage is this skill that's got so many hidden facets. It's the same as drafting. It's not just a matter of chasing a cow. There's so many other parts about it, and that's what I want to get to. And it's going to be great to see these Standardbreds doing it. Absolutely.
I'm really, really excited. I'm really excited. I love seeing Standardbreds doing things that people sort of stop and go, that's Standardbred? You know, because they can do it. They can do it. Like, you know, I've got dreams of taking a Standardbred through the levels of dressage, and I've got people who want to take them through levels of eventing. We've got one that we rehomed a couple of months ago that's actually being trained up as a medieval sporting horse. So it's literally they can turn their hoof to anything. They're cool horses, and I'm really, really excited for this camp draft. And who knows where it's going to lead? You know, we could potentially look into doing something with various performance disciplines down the road, just as a means of promoting these horses and getting them out there. And you know, it wasn't that long ago that off the track thoroughbreds, you know, everyone went, it's an off the track thoroughbred, and now they're a hot commodity. And I'd love to see the same thing happen for the Standardbreds. I really would. They're such wonderful horses.
I think it definitely can, and I think it also should, and we should encourage anyone, if it's an off the track Standardbred, off the track thoroughbred, don't matter. Just, you know, if someone says they're a little nice horse, they generally know what they are, and we've got to try and find homes for them all. The spin-off too with the camp drafting is the fact of how big that sale is at Tamworth. Hopefully you're there. I'm hoping we're going to be there. Please, everyone, stay at home so this COVID can go away very quickly. But I'm really keen to get there, and I really want to highlight these horses as well. But what people have got to be aware of, this, I think last year turned over about $11 million in auction money, basically, through their auction. So there's a lot of money there. There's a lot of people with a lot of money to invest into our industry that can then flow back to our racing stock. And then rehome them. So I think there's a big key about the way we publish, the way we promote this as well, and doing it properly. And I love what Nutrien have already done. Instead of just saying, Paul Campbell's going to be one of the retrainers, no, it's secretive. They're doing it and taking ownership of it. And you said there about the spin-offs. There's already been contact from a couple of stations in the Northern Territory about potentially getting some Standardbreds, because it's one thing I never thought about, but a Jackaroo or a Jillaroo, when they go up there, I just assume they're good horsemen, but sometimes they've never seen a horse before. So they actually need the right horse. So there's already
That's it.
another home for a standardbred, which is really, really huge.
It is such a great opportunity. And we're so grateful for Nutrien and the support that they've offered us. Like we've just been absolutely blown away by how generous and how wonderful they've been through this entire process.
That was written and spoken by Amiee. You said you've only been there in a few years. You've got some other exciting news coming forward. Like you've just had a government grant announced, and that's going to help to take what actually do you call yourselves? Do you call yourselves Harness Racing New South Wales Rehoming, or is there a shortened version?
Oh, harness rehoming or just rehoming in street talk.
So for the rehoming program, there is you've just been given a government grant. There's a fair bit going on behind the scenes.
Yes, there is. It's some really, really exciting news. So we've just received an infrastructure grant from the New South Wales government that's going to allow us to expand a couple of existing facilities that are already owned by Harness New South Wales. And as I said at the beginning, we work really closely with Harness New South Wales. They've been a fantastic support, and they've been very generous with advice and time. And again, with us being able to build onto existing facilities that they've got, that we're going to be putting facilities Goulburn, Tamworth, Bathurst, down at the Riverina, probably at Wagga, and possibly one in the Hunter as well. So it's going to take a little while to develop, but having these facilities available, it's going to potentially triple our ability to take in horses and find them homes, as well as providing education opportunities and giving the options to people to rehome these horses and retrain these horses from the harness community as well.
So these facilities will be stabling complexes and the likes, or will they be actually areas where people can go there and train them safely and give someone the opportunity that wants to potentially take a standardbred, a safe area, to be able to ride them and see what they're like out in a different environment?
Well, yeah, both of those things. So, I mean, the infrastructure grant, as I said, it's infrastructure only. It doesn't contribute to our day-to-day operational costs, but it's going to allow us, we're putting in stable, sort of your basic stables, yards. We're playing with the idea of maybe having a couple of resting paddocks as well, a round yard, a veterinary crush, and having those facilities there specifically for rehoming. So it's going to allow someone who potentially may not have the facilities at home, they may not be lucky enough to have it in their backyard, but maybe they're closely involved in the harness community, and because obviously there's a lot of brilliant horsemen and women in the harness community, they can then just step across and conduct rehoming operations out of those facilities.
And the spin-off of that, and it's something that's just recently happened here with the Hero program, retrainers, I gather, will be needed and sourced, which again gives people already in the industry potentially an option for something else to do, if you like.
And that's been really important too, particularly with having these facilities in the regional centres. We really wanted to support those regional communities.
Yeah, and that helps the people stay local. It's one of my big mantras. Again, you have a young daughter, you look at things differently, but to be able to keep people in the industry, right at the minute, the only way people can stay in the industry is training or driving winners. And that's it. Whereas it shouldn't be measured by that. It should be measured by people being able to, earn a living and do something good for the environment, for our industry as much as anything as well. So those things are really key.
Yeah, absolutely, and providing educational opportunities too. Potentially having, every industry needs young blood coming through. So having people that want to learn about horsemanship and want to learn about horse management and things like that, the facility's there for that. So I'm personally very, very passionate about developing young riders. So having that as an option as well.
Yeah, I think I love that, because that's one of my things. I think we should be able to keep kids in the industry and make it an industry that people want to come to. Not to start off in and then go off on another life's journeys, because it's a brilliant sport. Horses are sensational. We're in the depths of COVID. You guys are worse off in New South Wales than we are here in Victoria. But you still have to get up and feed your horses. You cannot not get up and feed your horses, and you've got to exercise those horses. So they're so good for your mental and well-being, just yourself, plus what you do for the horses. Yeah,
absolutely. I cannot speak highly enough about the benefits that horses give people in terms of mental health. And I mean, that again is something that I'm personally very passionate about. It's something that I've personally dealt with. And in the future too, I'd really, really love to expand into this and look into investing some time and energy and horses into the equine psychotherapy field. It's a big thing over in America, particularly with return servicemen and women. And I'd really love to see something like that take off here. And I'd be more than happy to contribute towards programs like that as well. So there's a lot of things that happen inside my head. It's just making them all happen. So we're getting there.
I'm tipping this is where your husband worries about the COVID lockdown and how much idle time you have. And
literally,
and
he's an essential worker, so he gets to leave the house every day, and he comes home and he's like, "What now?"
But that's good. You said there before about getting horses to the Olympic standards. It's quite interesting to note that I think it was a show jumping horse actually has French trotting stallion blood in him this year. So I think there's a lot of other avenues that the standardbreds can partake in. There's
many.
Yeah, I know years ago the Germans got themselves in a bit of trouble with their breeding and they had to outsource their breeding. So I think they put their stallions over a few of the trotting mares and they started jumping higher. And they're like, wow. So there's a lot of different ways we can actually showcase our industry and how great our athletes are, the horses.
Absolutely. My dressage mare is half a standardbred, and she's training elementary dressage, and she looks very standardbred too, like it. You can see it in her.
Is that one of the stigmas we've got to break down? That we got that try and change. We can't change the look of them, but maybe change the way people see them.
I think so. There's definitely two different types that we've got nowadays. We do have the more refined types now. It's not, I think, again, people think, oh, standardbred, ugly, blockhead, Roman nose, long back. But they're a lot more refined. I personally love the really traditional standardbred type. I'm a sucker for a Roman nose any day. I love it. But people are definitely, we're getting a lot of really refined types coming through where people are genuinely surprised they're a standardbred until they see the stamp on the neck. They don't believe it's a standardbred.
Yeah, and there's actually, I think freeze branding's phasing out very shortly as well, which, I think I can see why, but at the same time, it's probably going to take a little bit of our identity away. It won't go away initially. It's going to take years and years for that part to happen, but like everyone wants a tattoo. I don't want my daughter to have a tattoo, but at the same time, everyone wants a tattoo. We've got horses with tattoos on them, and they're already there. What else, Ames? Have we got anything else like for the standardbreds?
At the moment, it's tricky because the COVID has us locked down. So the COVID, I sounded a bit.
Yeah, I know, but it's okay. It's fine.
We'll run with it. The COVID has been making things a little bit difficult for us, just in terms of moving horses and movement. And there's a lot of restrictions that we're trying to manage. But once this has settled down, we would really, really love to expand down into the south and out to the west of the state. At the moment, we've got retraining facilities located in the Hunter Valley. We've got Sydney Metro. We've got one down at Wollongong and out at Bathurst. But we're really, really willing, like I said, to expand into these regional communities and provide the support out there. So if anyone watching is from the Western Districts or down south in the Riverina or the Goulburn region, if they do want to get involved, I do encourage you to email me and get in touch. I'll have a chat about what's involved in retraining these horses. And also, if anyone has a horse that they feel is, it's finished their racing career, I urge you to get in touch with us as well. Particularly, this is where we'll come back around to Nutrien. We are currently sourcing a lot of these horses for the Nutrien Challenge. So specifically, we are looking for geldings, aged between 3 and 8, around in between sort of 14.2 and 15.3 hands high. So if you've got a really nice type that you're just not quite sure whether their racing is going to be up to standard, or you're just not too sure, I really urge you to get in touch. And even if you've got something outside those parameters, at Rehoming, we'll have a look at anything. So,
short term, well, obvious right at the minute, especially, but New South Wales horses, obviously, is what you're trying to rehome. But I'd imagine going forward between Hero and you guys, and even off the tracks, it's one of those things where potentially end up all working together. You would hope to try and help these horses. But ideally, what you're asking for, there'll be a lot of people here in Victoria, but ideally, you're looking for New South Wales horses to retrain.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is one of the key things. And as we said there, this is for the rehoming standardbreds at the 2022 camp draft. So effectively what they're going to actually do is there's going to be 6 people that are going to, 6 horses selected, 6 retrainers, and then they'll be auctioned off. At the end of it, the auction is actually for charity as well. So all that money raised will go to charity. These horses will go to a new home where they'll continue on with their chosen sport, and I would imagine the spin-off will be competitions and things like that going forward as well. So I think those things are really good. Amiee, you made a huge dint down here in Victoria. Like, I don't know if you get that sort of feedback, but I did an interview with Blanche Poole this time last week actually, and Blanche the smile. She always smiles, but I think it got bigger after when I was doing the interview and she was talking about it. And there is a lot of other people just saying how great it is. So I think, I can say well done to Nutrien and all the rest. Well done to you guys for embracing change and embracing something different. I really like it, and I appreciate you giving me some time. Don't think it's going to be our last chat. Hopefully we're talking to each other at Tamworth. That'd be even better.
That'd be awesome.
In person, not this way, but we'll have to wait and see. But Amiee, thank you very much. Anyone wants to get in touch with Amiee, New South Wales Rehoming at gmail.com, or go to their website, Harness Rehoming New South Wales.com. And you're also on all your socials, Ames, too, aren't you?
Yes. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Very, very good. Amiee Cupitt, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.